Hey everybody, it's Jim Johnson here, the head coach at Contractor Coach Pro, and we are doing something just a little bit new today. For the past 4 years, we have been supplying training for sales reps and owners and managers via our website through Contractor Coach Pro. You had to log in, join, be a member, and if you're a member, it was free. It didn't cost you anything. You could come in and watch our weekly huddle live every week. But listening to some feedback from you guys over the last year or so, we've been working really hard to figure out how can we put this out to more people, give them more ability to see what it is that we're doing, share our content, give you guys some training out there that might help you. And so today we are, for the first time ever, going out live on Facebook Live to let you guys know that we're here to help you. That's what we're all about. We're here to give you some training, to give you some ideas about what you might be able to do with your business and improve it. So a couple of housekeeping things. You're going to see me looking over to the side over here because I'm kind of watching the broadcast just to make sure that I'm answering any comments and stuff like that. And then I will also be looking back at my screen, watching you guys, and kind of staying focused on what it is that I need to be doing today. So I'm not ignoring you if I'm looking away or anything like that. Also remember, watching on Facebook Live, all cool, everything, just come to our group, watch it, join our group, pass along, share this while you're watching it. That's super cool. We'd love it. We'd love you to hit the likes and comments and feedback the entire time through. Now, if you want to be able to have access to it for a little bit longer than just the day, if you register for these events through the emails that we send out by being a member on our site, you'll get access to it for a week. We leave these live ones up for a week until we do the next one. And then once we do that, we save that information, put it into our archive, and we've got about 200 and some odd different video training tools that we have inside of our website. So we hope that you guys enjoy what we do. Give us some feedback today. Tell us what you think about it being on Facebook Live. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to get to work. So I'm going to move me right down here. And so today's weekly huddle is on how to survive and thrive without a storm. We've been getting a lot of requests for this particular one. A lot of my clients struggle with it. We're dealing with it right now, depending on where you're located in the country. Some of these areas that are used to getting storms, and I would say especially like a Chicago, Illinois area, the Dallas area, San Antonio, Austin, Texas in general just hasn't had a lot of great storms this year, except in some smaller pockets. Colorado, you guys are good to keep on rocking. But this is something you really might want to pay attention to if you're hot and heavy in a storm right now, so that you think about what could happen when it ends. You guys in Florida, I don't think it's going to end anytime soon, so you're probably good. But this is what we're here to do, is we're here to help you guys. And so this is focused on restoration contractors this week. Next week, we'll do something for you traditional and retail guys. We'll vary it all throughout. Sometimes we'll talk about leadership. Sometimes we'll just do some straight up training. But today, we're going to talk about how to survive and thrive without a storm. So how do we do that? First off, why do we think that? Everybody's got this idea that there's no more roofs. The roofs are all gone. There's no more to do. All that good stuff. And so you hear things coming from sales guys and everybody else in the industry. A lot of us that are really good at this, we, being the sneaky sort that we are, start to put this information out. We start to say, hey, wow, the storm's really slowing down. Anybody know of a good storm and stuff like that? We start putting those little things out there to make you start thinking that's reality, so we can really go clean it up. You also hear salespeople, man, all the easy stuff is gone. Everyone wants to eat the deductible and those type of things. So when you're into those situations and you start hearing these type of excuses, you're going to really need to ask yourself a few things. Now, the one I love the best, and what I hear from reps as I was an owner, I'm sure a lot of you owners have heard, the insurance companies are shutting down the storm. They're stopping buying. They're not approving as much, blah, blah, blah. And they are. They're heavy duty on that right now. They have realized there's a battle out there between us as storm restoration contractors and them, as well as through their homeowner, and whose side is that homeowner going to be on. And so they're doing some things to make lives a little bit harder on us. And so we might want to think about how we approach this. We'll get into that a little bit more here in just a few minutes. Now, why is your storm over? That's a good question. Is it all because of these things that you think this storm is over, that this storm is causing you some grief, that you're not able to continue moving forward, and everybody's giving you kind of the, hey, this isn't working for me? Well, ask yourself a few questions. So let's talk about some of those questions right now. Is it really over, or is it just harder? And so I always ask these questions of contractors as they're asking me these questions. Have you scouted every inch of the storm? Is it something where you have gone out through all the neighborhoods, you've marked down all the houses that haven't been replaced, you've made a list of them, you've gotten the addresses, you've used tools like a coal information or the tax rolls that are free to identify the owner of each one of those houses, you've marketed directly to them, you've knocked on their doors, you've followed up with them, you put them into an email campaign, you've scouted every inch of that storm, including the ground zero all the way out to the fringe areas and even beyond. Depending on the type of mapping service or hail mapping tool that you use, you could be inaccurate. So if you are, it's usually that you're inaccurate about a mile too far north and west. So if you move about a half mile to a mile south and east, very likely that you might run into a little bit more damage if you go out there and look. And really kind of be focused on the types of places that you're looking at. I mean, if you're in like cedar shakes and tile and stuff like that, heavy architectural shingles out on the fringe might not get damaged as much, but looking for 3 tabs and things like that. Are you looking for wind damage and those types of things that happen after a storm? Or are you just walking up there and going, hey, it's not completely obvious, so there's no damage, I'm done. I had an adjuster show up and tell me there is no damage, so I'm just going to give up. Well, that's not what we want to do. We want to scout every inch of that storm. Use all of your contact resources. This is one of the areas I see most salespeople really struggle with and fail with, and something that they should be cognizant of at all times is, who do you know? Like, think about all your friends, and then not only all your friends, but maybe who they know. People that have a lot of contacts, like CPAs, attorneys, landscapers, any kind of business owner pretty much in general, or a manager or key person at one of those companies, it's something where you can go and create a relationship with them and make sure that you have tapped every one of those resources. Have you tapped every current customer? Every single customer you have, you've called them back, offered to come out, take a look at things. You have given them the opportunity to give you some referrals. You have talked to them about giving you a review. All of those things are super important to you being able to maximize and go deep into a storm. To be honest with you, I kind of like it when most people say a storm is over. I get excited because everybody bolts out of town. They all go do their thing. And I get really focused, and my team gets really focused on working just a little bit harder, but still cleaning that storm up. And when we shift gears like that, we tend to be extremely successful because everybody else is gone. And what you're hearing from the customer is, yeah, I called this guy and he never showed up. I never got a call back. There's all that stuff because everybody started vanishing. So have you followed up with every lead? Have you got a database? You got a CRM, you've got a spreadsheet, whatever it is that you're using to track your customers and your leads. Have you followed up with every one of them? One of the craziest things that I see out there with contractors is not putting somebody into their CRM until it actually becomes a job. That is insane to me. It doesn't make any sense at all. And so why would you do something like that? Be cognizant of putting everything and anything into your CRM because there's always opportunities there. So have you followed up with all those leads? Have you emailed all those leads? Have you put them into an email campaign that you're constantly monitoring to move them through and have them finally become your customer because you're the guy that follows up? So I noticed that maybe on Facebook it says the broadcast is expired. I don't know why it would be doing that. Sorry about that. We'll get through it. I'll get this recorded and we'll put it up on Facebook for everybody to see. All right. Like I said, follow up with every lead. Recon your competition. So in other words, make sure that you go out there and recon your competition. Now, some of you are going to think, man, this is a dirty pool, but I'm not worried about it. This is business. I'm here to get business, and you're my competition, and I'm out there to win. I'm not going to go knock any of your signs or do anything unethical like that, but I might be hanging out around your office, and I might just put a tail on you to figure out where you might be going and getting additional work that I may not know about. And so make sure that you use every possible avenue and use your brain. Really think about, hey, how can I find more business that's out there? Talk to your suppliers. Where are they delivering materials and things like that? Now, all of you that are really good business owners, you're sitting there going, please don't tell everybody that. That's not cool. But hey, it's up to you. Go get the stuff or be worried that somebody else will. Make a list of every property in the storm that doesn't have a new roof. And so that's that recon stuff, driving around through your neighborhoods, scouting every single one of them, making a list of all of those properties so that you can actually make a huge campaign over it. You can start to direct mail, you can get phone numbers and telemarket. There's a ton of different things. Now, you guys that are out there, you're paying attention today. I'm going to pull down the chat area here if I can, or if I see it. There it is. And I'll keep that up right here. If you guys are on the actual webinar, go ahead and chat it up if you want to. If you have any questions about it, I'm going to move it over here where I can see it. And is there anything else out there that you have done? Like you've tried these things, you thought, hey, I'm going to go ahead and run with this, and it worked. Is it really over? So I wanted to make sure of that first. Like, it could actually be really over, but in most cases it's not. It's just that we haven't put in that deep effort to make sure that it happens. So with that said, did your approach cost you? Okay, so did the approach that you took with this storm that you were working, did it cost you? So which one of these describes you? Okay, now I'm not saying one is better or worse than the other, but you might want to think about how you approach these things. Are you a hunter or farmer? And I can remember, you know, owning a company. I've coached 190 plus contractors at this point, and we've got another 700 plus on our website. We talk to them all the time. And early on in a storm, hunters are great, man. They go out there and they knock all the doors and they really get after it. But I really kind of think of them as door-to-door order takers, all right? And don't be offended by that. It's a little bit of reality. You think about this. It's storm restoration. A homeowner has damage. They need the work done. It's not that they want the work done, but they need it done. So they're going to have to get somebody, and you're telling them that that person that they're going to get, the insurance company is going to pay for it. That would be just like walking into a Mercedes dealership and saying, hey, I want to buy that Mercedes right there. And the guy going, hey, great, no problem. It's only going to cost you $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000, depending on what your deductibles are in there. And you saying no. Like, why would you say no? That doesn't even make any sense. Like, absolutely, man. If I got to go take a loan to get that $3,000, I'm going to get this whole thing covered. So it's not that hard to sell, and I don't really call it sales at that point. And so what I mean by that is, if you are out there meeting with a homeowner, tell them you're going to do it for insurance proceeds, and even if you're collecting the deductible, I wouldn't really call that sales. If you're not collecting a deductible, eating deductibles and doing silly stuff like that, you certainly aren't silly. And don't even consider yourself a salesperson. Really and truthfully, just stop even thinking that way, because you're not. A salesperson can actually get the deductible, and a great salesperson will get upgrades. So they kill it in a fresh storm, these guys, though. The hunters, they're like, fresh storm, they just murder it, get out there and sign all kinds of people, and they have all kinds of work. They work harder, not smarter normally, although sometimes that's not the case. They can be smart guys as well in the way they work, but they understand it's a numbers game. They get after it. Like the more doors I knock, the more people I talk to, the more contracts I'm going to get. And so they just crush. They go after it really hard. And then they go after what I call the who do you know referrals. Okay. So who do you know? Like that's how you get a referral. Hey, Mr. Johnson, hey, great to have you as my client. You know anybody else that needs a roof? And that's the extent of how they do it. They may ask about the neighbors. They may knock on the neighbors' doors, but that's about how deep they get into it. Excuse me 1 second. They rely on that we do it for insurance dollars. Okay, so hey, we do it for insurance dollars. You sign up with us, we'll do it for what the insurance company says. And there we go. Until they need a deal. And then they start to work funny things like eating deductibles or giving a bunch of money back or whatever it may be to get that deal. Because they're order takers, they're not salespeople in most circumstances. And so what that ends up being is a rudimentary sales ability. And by rudimentary, I'm saying they got a little bit, and there's probably a little bit of training there, not a whole lot, but they normally are just naturally a good person. The ones that you see doing big numbers, a good person, people like them, good relationship builder and starter, like they make friends easily, build rapport easily, but they're not necessarily long-term relationship holders in most cases. Now, on the other side of the coin there, we've got the farmer. And this farmer is somebody that I have noticed does not normally kill it during the early part of a storm. They kind of just maintain a pretty good pace. It's not going crazy, but they're not doing anything. And they start to understand the value of relationships. They go, hey, you know, this door knocking thing, that's fine. I can go get leads and stuff like that and get customers that way. But there's a dozen, 50, 100 other ways. If I just use my nugget a little bit for me to get some leads in addition that actually call me instead of me having to knock on doors all day long. So in other words, they work smarter, not harder, and they start to build these relationships, this network of people that are going to send them leads. So they work all their contacts first, everybody they know, their dad and their dad's friends and their neighbors and their friends and everybody that's a CPA and my CPA, my insurance agent, my auto body guy, my landscaper, whoever it is. I'm working them, man. I'm working them like, hey, who do you know? Hey, I'll give you some incentive, whatever that may be, whether it's a gift card, it's money, cash, whatever it is. Send people my way and I will reward you. They also start to work on some referral systems and programs. So they get a little bit more organized with it. Instead of just working the contacts and saying, hey, this is what I'll do, they actually create a program, okay? And so they sit down and they really think about it. And so with a homeowner, this little acronym that I use here, NFFCCAG, tries to keep me cognizant of the different things I should be asking for, because I'm going to be meeting with that homeowner over and over and over again. And when I say, who do you know, like the order taker on the left, that opens up this giant Rolodex of information in my head, because I happen to know a lot of people, and most people know a lot of people. It's like you said, hey, go pick out somebody that needs a roof in that big, huge yellow pages or white page in your phone book. And you can't. You're like, I don't know which one it is. But if you said, hey, do you know any of your neighbors that might need a roof? Do you know anybody as far as family that might need a roof? Do you know anybody as far as friends? All right. Church. Okay. So all these acronyms mean a group of people. You have associations, you have groups that they're a member of, they have community organizations. That's what all those little acronyms for. You can make up your own acronym, but take the people that people know and segment them into groups. One of the ones I like is businesses. Do you know anybody that owns a business? Man, I might be able to get into some commercial properties that way. So I have a organized format in the way in which I ask for those referrals. And I don't do them all at one time. I'll do maybe one or two, and then one or two, and then one or two as I work them throughout the time that I'm going to be working with them, because I'm going to meet them 3, 4, 5 times. I'm also going to usually create a system for partners. And if you guys are members of our website, we have a few of those that we've created for real estate brokers and landscapers and insurance agents. We've got whole training programs on those. So I'm not going to get too deep into them, but just think, instead of us trying to just say, hey, send us some leads and we'll give you some incentive, we actually benefit their business and help their business grow through this program that we create. And especially when it comes to insurance agents. Those insurance agents, they hear from us all the time, hey, we're great roofers, quality service, blah, blah, blah. And you get 100 of them, and we all say the same thing. And so we're really kind of a commodity at that point. So how do I tell the difference? Well, I like that guy better. So that's who I send my stuff to. But if I have that kind of relationship going on and I'm trying to get that agent's business, how do I get it? And so I need to create a program that benefits him and benefits his customers. And because it benefits his customers, he signs more policies. So just think about that. Like, you can come in and watch some of our videos on that, but how would you organize something like that and present it to somebody so that instead of us trying to be part of the insurance company's program through these managed repair programs that I despise, how about flip the table and have them be part of our elite program? And then our network. So I've got a network of people that I'm going to work with to get referrals and programs. I'm going to go to B&I groups. I'm going to create my own referral group. So a lot of different ways to do that as a networking master. And then I'm really, in the end, a sales and marketing master. I have invested time into myself for knowledge and intelligence to beat you. That's my goal as a salesperson. How do I beat you? How do I beat my competition? How do I set myself apart from everybody else? Because I'll tell you what, door knocking prime time, that's from 3 in the afternoon to maybe 8 o'clock, 8:30 at the high point in the summer. Right now, it's about to be daylight savings time tomorrow. What are you going to do now? And so you've got to think. You got to use earlier in the day to start working on this stuff. Even when it's hot and heavy in a storm, do this stuff earlier in the morning so that whenever that storm starts to dwindle down, you still have all these leads coming into you. So you can continue to be that hunter. Now, I tend to be a hunter that knows this farmer stuff. And I don't necessarily want to do it all. And so what do? I hire somebody to help me with those things. All right. So think about how you might outsource, bring somebody in, hire somebody contract-wise. If this isn't your specialty, hire somebody to give you a hand with it so that you can be successful. So that's kind of, did your approach cost you? You can see I got the grasshopper and the ant there. If everybody knows the story from when you were a little kid, grasshopper's having fun, rocking and rolling all summer long, and everything's all great. Ants working, grasshopper's trying to get ant to play, like be a bad influence. Come on, let's have fun, let's do this, let's have a good time. And the reality is that the ant says, no, I'm going to keep on working, I'm going to keep on working. And when winter comes along and that slow time comes along, the grasshopper is like, man, I don't know what to do. I'm going to have to go do something else. We'll talk about that in just a second. Where the ant's just sitting there going, boom, boom, boom. Just he's eating away, he's enjoying his life, and things aren't so bad. So think about that, being a little bit more proactive instead of reactive in your abilities. So what to do about it? Now, I am not going to sit here and go through letting you guys think, unless you're on the webinar chat or you're on Facebook Live and you can actually see this at this point. Put in your comments. If it's not on Facebook Live right now, we're going to post it. We'll pay attention to that post. And so what do you do about it? What are some of the things that you could possibly do to resolve those issues that you're saying, hey, there's no more storm work? Because I want you to think about that before you move forward. As a matter of fact, if you're watching this on recording or anything like that, pause it right here, take a pen and a piece of paper, and think a little bit, okay? I have a problem. What are my possible solutions? This is one of the things I really try to coach people on, is that instead of going, hey, I've got a problem, help me, right? Like, help me, how do I do that? How about use your brain, okay? Think about it just a little bit. Be creative. Okay, I got this thing where it doesn't look like they're buying stuff. The storm's starting to slow down. What is my next move? Okay, and so let's talk about what some of those might be. Can you pursue more storm work? You certainly could. Going after it, choosing some of those ways I showed you earlier to invest some time into going after that stuff. Do you chase a storm? Hurricane hit in Florida not too long ago. It's like a mass migration of storm restoration contractors and salespeople going to Florida. But is that the right thing to do? I mean, I've done it. I've traveled. I've worked storms before. It's tough on a person. It's tough on their mentality. It's tough on their family. It's tough on their kids. Is there a better answer for you than to chase the storm? And I know a lot of you don't want to, so maybe there's some ways to do things differently. Could you actually become a salesperson and sell some retail? Learn some skills and become a good salesperson and start selling some retail, because I will be really clear with you that even though there's been a storm through your city, it didn't hit the whole entire city. There's all kinds of opportunity out there for you to get some work. So we have a question here from Matt Morrison. I think a lot of people disregard the potential profits in repair jobs. If the roof wasn't replaced, it might just need some repairs. Great point. So that was here. Let's think. And Matthew did a little thinking. He threw it up and he said, hey, what about repairs? And you could absolutely go after repairs, which are usually normally very profitable if you do them right. Most of my contractors get 70 to 75% profit on those projects because they're small, they take time, and they need to get done, and not a lot of people want to do them. I have guys that's their strict business. Like, they have a whole separate repair department that goes after that stuff. Could you do something else? Okay, so is there something else that you could do? And so one of the things I noticed, like roofing contractors, especially the further north you get, the cooler it gets. And so getting out there and doing this stuff and climbing on a roof with a foot of snow in it doesn't sound like the most exciting thing out there. Are there some other things that you can do? You might want to check out a organization called Attic Systems. If you Google that, they'll come up. There's some ways to make some real money with insulation, stuff like that. It's not cold. As a matter of fact, it's probably a little bit warmer in there than it is outside. There's a lot of different ways to do things. There's guys that snowplow, that do Christmas lights. There's all different kinds of stuff. Which one's going to fit you the best? So Brandon, hey, thanks for the question here. How do you feel about retail pricing being lower than Xactimate pricing related to stormwater? I think you're missing the boat. As a matter of fact, my contractors, we actually coach them to be above. So you got this Xactimate pricing that's out there, and just depending on your area and your target, people tend to think that because there's an insurance claim, and they have a policy, I'm going to go after everything under that policy. And first off, if you're a contractor doing that in that thought process, you're actually doing something you shouldn't be doing. You should be a contractor. You should be able to estimate a project, understand the cost, and understand profit and margin and markup to make the profit you need. So if your number comes in underneath the insurance companies and you can make a profit, I don't have a problem with you. Now, for me, I couldn't, because I am going to add more value. We're going to talk about that in just a second. And so Matthew actually just piped in, if you're selling on price, you've already lost, sell on value. And that is the concept that we constantly work on with our contractors. We teach here. We'll actually show you some of that stuff inside of our website as we move forward with these live out here on Facebook. And so through these suggestions, was there a spark? Did anything spark you and say, hey, wow, I hadn't really thought of it that way? If there was, write that spark down right now. Just write it down, put it on a piece of paper, and so you don't lose it, because that's where we usually fail, is something sparks our thought and we go, oh, that's cool. And we kind of run down that track and phone rings and Facebook pings and everything else, and whoop, it's gone. The squirrel, we didn't follow through with it. Whatever sparked you and sparked your interest, and you said, hey, this is maybe an idea, write that thing down and then go follow it through. Get yourself away from all distractions. Make sure you hammer it. So those are just some of the suggestions. So how we might do it. So I gave you some suggestions. Now how we might go about doing some of this stuff. And so first things first, I've got to determine who my target is. And this is one of those things that's really a struggle for a lot of guys. We're going to get into this in detail here in just a minute, but determine who your target is. I really strongly suggest creating a proprietary retail sales system. This is a system that's yours and yours alone and nobody else's. And that's where you start to create value. So we're going to give you some pointers there today as well. And then should you change your marketing strategy and how you go about doing things? So let's look at it. So let's first off determine our target, not just the target, but the bullseye. Like, how do I get the bullseye? Because if I hit the bullseye, I'll be able to do all that stuff that I think I want to do. And so usually when I ask people, hey, who's your target? Who are you after? Anybody with an insurance claim. That's a big one that I hear a lot. Anybody with a roof. I say, great. Anybody with a roof. So I got a doghouse in my backyard. You going to come do that? Is that cool? You want to do that? I got a trailer house out here that's been sitting, on my property for years. You want to come do that one? I've got a 20-story building that has 10 squares on top of it that needs to be replaced. Do you want to do that one? And maybe you do. Okay, maybe those are things that you want to do. But are they your target? Is that the thing that you really want to get? And I would guess that for most of you, it's not. So think about the bullseye. What is it? So here's some of the ways you can come up with your bullseye. What type of properties? Are we going to work commercial or residential? And if we are, what kind of those are they going to be? Are they going to be TPO and low slope stuff or steep slope stuff for commercial? Is it going to be high end? Is it going to be shakes, specialties work? What is it going to be? What type of properties am I after? And then properties over a certain amount of age. So now you're thinking, hey, I stormed things over, so I got to go do something else. Who's the most likely person that needs my services? Well, if a roof is over a certain amount of age, it's starting to get to the point of replacement no matter what. And maybe, just maybe, when you get up there, it might have some damage on it that you didn't even know existed, because it's not an area you even thought was on the radar for that. But if I get to a certain age, it's more likely to be damaged and more likely to need repair or replacement anyway. So what would that age be for you? For me, it was 15 years. That's what we went after. Everything 15 years or older. Properties in the what price range? So we were like, hey, we want properties over $500,000. That was who we were after. That was our target market. We really got after it, focused really on, I'll tell you how refined our target was. We focused on golf course communities that were over 15 years old and over $500,000 value houses. Why do we do that? First off, I like to play golf. I want to meet these people and go play golf on their cool golf course. Secondly, it gives me something to talk about and build some rapport because I actually play some pretty decent golf. It's also high value properties. And each one of those high value properties, those people know a lot of other people with high value properties. So I get my target, but I start hitting those rings outside of my target with the right people. So I'm starting to get who I want. And so I can market differently to people in a golf course community than I can in a traditional suburban neighborhood or a older retired area or a urban area. There's all different kinds of ways that you can really speak to those people. So how do you find them? Okay. How do you find these folks? And so I'm going to give you some ideas here. Top of mind marketing, which is Tom marketing, which all that is that you spend so much on marketing, everybody knows you. It just does not, nobody can drive through town, get on the road, listen to the radio or watch TV without knowing you exist. Now, does that cost money? Absolutely. Is it worth it? I don't know. There's a lot of people that do it out there that seem to be doing just fine. As a matter of fact, the ones I see that are top of my marketing tend to stay in business for a very long time. Your suppliers, all right? So can your suppliers inform you on any of that information up above, those questions that you just asked yourself? So the type of property, commercial or residential, well, my supplier could probably tell me all the residential properties that they've delivered to. Could they tell me how long ago they did it? They might not be able to tell me price range, but maybe I can find that on my own. And could they tell me what kind of materials they deliver? So they can be really valuable to you. Now, they're not going to give you a list in most cases, so don't think that they will. But if they can give you a neighborhood that you can go and check that neighborhood, that makes your time less in just shotgunning it and really being able to go out there and be targeted. Talk to your real estate contacts. They're selling houses. They're involved in that. Where are these older houses, these older neighborhoods, these places that are 15 years old or older that you can get involved with? There's real estate apps all over the place. You want to work in a neighborhood, you're looking for a certain value, you can filter, search, boom, it'll pull up every house in that area. You click on it, you go, yep, it's 15 years old. It meets all my criteria. I'm going to market that entire neighborhood because most neighborhoods are built out within 2 to 5 years. And so you can be really strategic about this stuff and not have to invest a lot of just drive time looking around and hoping and praying. Once you find all that information, you can actually get on the tax rolls And so get the address that you have and search the address versus the name list and start to find out who these people are so you can start to email them, knock on their door and introduce yourself, and talk to them about some of the cool things that you do. Or do you just like, I don't want to do any of that stuff. I'm not going to spend that time. It's too hard for me. I don't know how to do it. And it's complicated. And Jim's just telling me stuff that I don't know how to do. Well, do you go out and get an outsourced lead provider? There's all kinds of them out there, and they do it all kinds of different ways. And I suggest you take some time and look into them because it's important to get their help. So the proprietary sales system. So that's a little bit on getting your target. I got a target figured out. Now I know what who I'm after and how I'm going to get in front of them. So I've got some ideas there. And you can go a lot further than what we put there. I'm just trying to give you some ideas so you can sit down and think and jam with your team or jam with your wife or whoever it may be and come up with a strong group of people that you can go after. Now that you know who you're going to go after, how do you get them to be your customer? Like, what is it about you that they're going to go with versus anybody else? And so this proprietary sales system, like I said, it's yours and yours alone. It's nobody else's. And don't be a commodity, be valuable. And so if you think of things like, one of the things that I struggle with a lot is everybody thinks that a supplier supplies the same shingles, and thus whatever supplier gives me the best price is who I'm going to buy from because it's no different, whichever one. And so you end up choosing your supplier that way. You didn't take into consideration some of the other things like delivery times and stuff like that, or maybe you have if you've been doing this a while, but that's how most are looked at. Like, they're a commodity. If you're going to go buy pinto beans from the store, that's a commodity. Whichever bag of pinto beans is the cheapest, that's the one I'm going to buy. Most homeowners believe of contractors as a commodity. They think of us like, you're a roofer, you're going to tear my roof off, put a new one on, so is that guy, that guy, and that guy, who's going to give me the cheapest price? So what I have to do is I have to make myself valuable. I've got to differentiate myself from everybody else. And I can't do it through saying, I got better quality, better service, these credentials, blah, 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 any of that stuff. Everybody can say that. If anybody can say the thing you're thinking in your head, you're a commodity. You're the same as somebody else. And if you sell a manufacturer's system, you aren't different enough. You might be a little different, but you're not different enough. And you manufacturer, you're watching this, sorry to put that out there, but I'm here to coach these guys to win. And if I am selling just a manufacturer's system, then I am competing with everybody else that can sell that system, and thus I'm still a commodity, maybe a higher end commodity, but I'm still a commodity. Now, with that said, I love the manufacturer systems because we take their cool little systems and we make them a part of our system, and everybody's happy because we're selling the manufacturer system, but we're selling our system that separates us from everybody else. If everyone focuses on this, you should focus on that. So everybody's focused on doing it this way, this way, this way, this way, and selling it that way, that way, that way, that way. Okay, we're going to do it this way. Just completely whatever you can do differently. Like, for example, if everybody's doing direct mail, I'm not going to do direct mail. I'm going to telemarket, or I'm going to knock on doors, or I'm going to do a variety of different things. And so here's a few suggestions. Okay, what can you do to be different? So here's a few suggestions. You can see I got a thumbprint on there. Like, there's only one of those, right? Like, that's an identifying thing. It's unique, and that's what you want to be. So could you do a very valuable assessment and report? Instead of going out there like most of us as storm restoration contractors, knocking on somebody's door and saying, hey, Mr. Jones, I'm working with your neighbors, we're doing free inspections, let me hop on your roof. And they say, yes, and we do. We're up there 3-4 minutes, take some pictures, come back down and say, hey, you got damaged, let's work with your insurance company, which is what most of us do. Not the people I coach. We got to give them something valuable and be different. So even in the retail world, can I do that thing where I give them a valuable assessment? I have a report that I have it printed up, it looks nice, it's graded, all of these things. It's like your proprietary, all-encompassing 360 report, right? That thing, just so you know, in the retail world, you can actually sell. You can come out there and offer a free inspection. I'll give you the inspection for free, but if you want the report, it's $149. So that's another thing you could sell if you want to. And so you're not wasting your time going out and doing these things. Property protection. Could you protect somebody's property just a little bit better? Now, if you guys have been paying attention to us at all on Facebook, we've been doing a lot of Facebook Lives lately. And yesterday we did one with the inventor of the catch-all, which is a netting and pole system that you can set up all around the house. It doesn't take long to do, about 15 minutes, and it protects the entire home. It's a giant billboard. But man, I could sell that as different from everybody else and the way I protect my properties. I notice a lot of people use the Equipter the same way. I can protect your property better. But is there other things that you could do to protect that property? And I would sit down and say, okay, what all do we have to protect? How do we currently protect it? And what could we do to make that cool sounding, valuable, and something I can make a part of my presentation? Job site safety, same thing. How are you going to be different in your safety? Are you going to put up caution tape, use cones, put lights on your trucks? I like all that stuff because it makes it a big show. Everybody's watching it. But I have guys that go far beyond that. They do some really cool stuff. Do OSHA rules, and everybody's in harnesses. They all got the same vest on that have your logos and cool stuff on it. Job site safety is important. How do you keep the neighbors safe? What do you do there? And so there's a lot of different ways to use job site safety as a differentiating factor. Number one is your installation. There's a billion different ways that you can be different. All you have to do is think about everything that you put on the roof and what you use, and could you use a little bit better product? Could you use a little bit better installation practice? Like instead of 4 nails, I could put 5 or 6. Could I do a roof edge different than the way everybody else does? Could I use a little bit wider drip edge? Could I seal something different? Could I use a different pipe jack? Could I use a different style of flashing? There's a billion different ways. And all of those things, I don't really share what their really true name is. I give them my own name. It's our deep protection drip edge. It's 4 inches wide instead of 1.5 inches wide. That's what we use. And I'd probably give it a better name than that. I'd sit down, get on a whiteboard and start throwing out a bunch of names and getting some cool names to it. So when the next guy comes in behind you and he's talking with the homeowner's like, hey, do you guys have that deep protection drip edge? He's like, man, I don't even know what you're talking about. And he loses the deal and he gets irritated and goes to Google and he looks and he's like, there's no such thing as deep protection drip. What is this? How is this guy beating? And so that's how we get our edge. You can get an edge and cleanup and the way you guarantee it and what it is that you're doing out there. Once again, that catch-all thing works really cool with it. Most of us use magnets and rollers and we're like, think that's a big deal, but that's what everybody does. That's a commodity. What could you do different? Could your final inspection, could you add a final inspection if you're not already doing one? And during that final inspection, could you add a metal detector and really pick up everything? Find every nail, be on top of it, have a no nail left behind program. So there's a lot of different ways to do that, make it sound cool and sell some value. And then your workmanship warranty. You're about to put on an awesome roof. You just said you're going to do your installation better, put on better products and all the other good stuff that you're going to charge for. You're not going to just do it for the same price you're doing everything else. Charge for it and charge accordingly. But you're going to get a better warranty too. Instead of my 2-year warranty or even 5-year warranty, maybe I could give a 10-year warranty or a 20, depending on how long you want to be in business, how long you want to be held at risk for it. Towards the end there, as a contractor, I had 25-year warranties on ours because our system was awesome. And I felt very strongly it would be extremely low percentage that would leak. My phone is the same number it's always been. If any of my roofs leak, that call will come to me. They're all forwarded to me to this day. And I will take care of it. The last time I had a call was in 2009. I'm not too worried about it. I feel pretty strongly that we put on a great roof, and those roofs are holding up because we use great products with great manufacturers and great installation practices and great training practices. So what else could you do to be different? So think about it a little bit and get with your team. If you have a team, if you don't have a team, just sit in a quiet place to get all the distractions away and ask yourself, what else could I do? All right, so could you change your marketing strategy? So we talked about those first two. Now we're going to talk about the third one. Could you change your marketing strategy? So restoration contractors have an advantage that you guys probably aren't very aware of or don't realize necessarily. Use your number one skill. We have this ability to go and knock on people's doors and we're not scared of it. And in this particular circumstance, I would actually be a lot less scared of it because I'm not necessarily trying to sell something, okay? And really keep that in mind. This door knocking thing, the reason a lot of door knockers fail is they're trying to sell the roof right away. You got to start talking about that and get you a free roof, especially in restoration stuff, or get your roof covered by your insurance company, or get your roof, get it covered by your insurance, blah, blah, blah. Like, hey, let's just tell you if there's anything wrong with your roof first. And so Kevin says, we leveraged our database to inspect all of the roofs we've done in 23 years with an offer to extend our warranty 1 year if the roof was sustainable. Picked up 8 roofs so far in 30 days. Nice, man. That's a rock star. Way to survive through a little bit of lean times. Kevin, that's great. Awesome idea. Thanks for sharing it too. Like, that's something that everybody watching this could go, man, that's a great idea, and start doing that themselves. If you've got a database that you've kept for 23 years, which a lot of companies, I have a feeling, may not have all that information. So you can see the importance of keeping all that data. So could you do a survey? Could you do a survey of all the people and the homes that you've already done work on, like Kevin here did? And so you're just calling them and setting that up. You don't even have to go knock on their door, but could you go through a neighborhood and survey people about their home? You know, hey, Mr. Jones, my name is Jim Johnson. I am with so-and-so surveying. We survey homeowners about their properties and their status of those properties. Have you been thinking about getting any work done to your home in the next year or so? Here's some examples: roofing, siding, gutters, fences, whatever it is you do, and maybe even what you don't do. I'll get to that here in just a second. Create an annual route. Get to the point to where these people know you, like you are the FedEx person, you are the mail carrier, you're going through these neighborhoods all the time. They see you all the time. They see your truck all the time, and you're inspecting. And you've got this route that you're inspecting all these houses. Even if they don't have a whole lot of damage or they're not really bad enough to do anything about it, you're picking up some repair jobs. But guess who's going to get that job when it comes time? And once you create a deep enough route, imagine. And I've got a guy that does this, and he shared this idea with me so I could share with you guys. He works, I want to say he said about 10 neighborhoods right around his house. He doesn't go any more than about 5 miles. Everybody knows him. He hangs out the local, breakfast establishment, and he inspects 10 houses a day, every day for about 40 weeks out of the year. Goes out, does about a 30-minute inspection on each one. It's really detailed, really pretty. Showed me an example of it. And when he's done, he sends them a copy of it. He gives them access to it through his CRM. A lot of CRMs have homeowner links. So they can come in and look, and they can see their report. They can see their pictures. They can see their status and grade on their roof. And so that person is watching what's happening with their roof over the years. And I said, well, where do you start? How old of neighborhoods are you looking for? He goes, I don't know, 5 years maybe. Those people will be my customers at some point. I'm not going to stop doing this, and I don't want to go travel for a storm. I did that. I hate that. And so those people will be my customers someday. But I want to let them know where they stand right now. He goes, you'd be surprised how many roofs are 5 years old that we do repairs on. Repairs are very profitable. And so he's got this route, and think about that. Let's do the math on that. So let's just say he does a 5-day work week times 40 weeks. And he only works 40 weeks because that's what he wants to work. He takes 12 weeks off to go do whatever he wants to do. That equals 200. Let me make sure I got this right. So 10 a day times 5 days a week times 40 weeks. That's 2,000 inspections he does a year. That's a lot, right? Man, that's a lot of inspections. But he knows how to do it. He's really good at it. Takes a drone, it looks cool. He does some tests and stuff that he's created as part of his whole entire system that I cannot share, but you can think about it and probably come up with something cool yourself. And he gets that, and part of the deal is that he has the opportunity to report on it. So he gives them accessible assessments. Log in, take a look at it, and here's what it is going on with your roof. And he does this through video. So every time he gets all of his people done, he takes a day, a morning or an afternoon, whatever works for him, and he records a little video with their report and goes through it, sends it to them by email, and puts it into their file in his CRM. And so they're getting the information. He tries to keep it short and sweet so that they understand. He points out the things that are issues. And he says, hey, if this thing right here, this repair, this is what it would cost, all you got to do is reply to me with this click, fill out this, sign it, we'll come and replace it. And he gets click after click after click after click on repairs. It's crazy. And then when it comes time to roof, he's checked this out. He goes, 90% of the people that get a roof with the ones I inspect go with me. This is easy. And we have a great price and we have a great system and we're not the cheapest by any means. But because he has this door-to-door skill, he took that and put it to a system. Enter them in a sweepstakes. That's another thing that you can add to this. Like if people are saying no to you, you want to do a survey, you're like surveying, hey, are you looking for these things? How long has it been since you did that? And when you did it the last time, what did it cost? Just create a cool little survey, right? If they're having a hard time getting people to give you a survey, say, hey, everybody that takes our survey and allows us to do an inspection, we're going to enter them into a sweepstakes to win whatever. There's no purchase necessary. All you got to do is let us inspect your home, and we'll enter you into the sweepstakes. Now, you can see an asterisk there. Make sure to check with your qualified attorney for sweepstakes rules in your state. Don't just go willy-nilly out there and think everything's hunky-dory, because there are rules to sweepstakes. So make sure you get them right. But think about how many more people, and you're going to give away what? $100 Amazon gift card a week? If that got you on 10 more roofs every single week, and you sold 2 of those, is it worth it? I would say so. I would do it all day long. It's actually something that we did with our sales reps, and we teach our coaching clients. Could you generate additional revenue streams? So I said I was going to talk about this at the end when I was talking about the survey. Can you survey for other things? Like fence painting, installing decks, interior work, bathroom redos, garage floor makeovers. Could you do a survey with all that stuff on it, create all these leads, and then resell those leads off to the companies that actually do it, who just happen to be your referral partners in your BNI group? I think it's a brilliant idea. I would absolutely get after that if I was a person that didn't want to travel around for storms and didn't want to starve in the slow time of the year. All right, invest in your marketing. To outsource or not to outsource, that is the question. And so where should you invest? First thing I think you should invest in before anything else, so you make wise decisions in what you're going to do with your dollars, is invest in your knowledge and understanding of the concept. Take some courses, take some classes, watch some YouTube, invest your time and your money into learning the concept of marketing and what it is that it's all about, what you're trying to accomplish, and some of the strategies that you might apply to the various different marketing that you might do. In-house or outsource? Do you want to bring it in-house and do it? Do you want to learn this stuff yourself and execute? You're smaller, you're an individual sales guy. That's how I started. I did it all myself. I practiced and tried different things and threw a whole bunch of stuff out there that was garbage, but it helped me build the final pieces that became great. Or do I just say, hey, I don't want to learn all this. I'm willing to pay for it. I'm going to outsource it to somebody. And if you do, who do you outsource it to? Ask around, get a lot of references when it comes to this. The marketing outsourcing is a scary thing right now, and you can make huge mistakes in expense if you don't get some good help there. Do you outspend or outsmart? That's 2 different ways of treating it. Some companies just say, hey, look, I don't care. I'm just going to outspend you. And I'm going to be all over every TV station, every radio station, everything, and every billboard. And we're going to just outspend you. Or can I outsmart you by marketing in some different ways, like one of the ones I just mentioned earlier with the surveys and the door knocking and the reports and those type of things. So here's some Contractor Coach Pro best practices. These are some of the things you might want to think about in investing into your marketing. Create a persona. We had Heath Hicks on yesterday from the Catch-All and Avco, and we were talking at one of the events here just not a while back, and I said, you know, that was pretty cool what you did with the Catch-All thing, and I said, you know, really stuck. And he goes, if you got to do one thing when it comes to TV or radio or any kind of marketing, whatever it is you're doing, be remembered. Do something that just makes it stick. And I harken back to companies like Fat Matt Roofing. Like, man, Fat Matt Roofing, like, where did that name come from? But gosh, do you remember it? It is a thing that you cannot forget. Like if you would have just said Matt's Roofing, well, there's 100 Matt's Roofing. But Fat Matt Roofing, it's funny, it sounds good, and it's easy to remember. So create a persona. And funny enough, Matt's not even fat. So good to go there. Digital is king, right? So you got to be in digital these days. It just is. This is marketing 2.0. The radio and TV and all that stuff, they still work. Direct mail and all those work to different levels in different cities. You're going to have to kind of do some research on that on your own. But really, digital is king. Websites and SEO, social media. Invest time into learning social media, and there's so many different ways to generate leads in social media that I can't get into all of them today. But invest time into learning them and invest into the ones that might be the best for you. I would suggest that you really understand Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Nextdoor. Those 4 would be a part of the entire program for me. And then last but not least, this concept of sales funnels or lead pages or sales pages. These are little one-page websites that you market to on a Facebook or Google or wherever. People react to that really quick ad. They come to your sales page, and you've got a cool story that you share. And there's a call to action button that could be get an estimate, get an inspection, get our assessment. Matthew says, slow times of year can also be a great time to restructure your company, bring on new technology, train up your systems, basically evaluate what sucked for you in the busy season and put things in place to keep them from sucking next year. And I would add getting coaching, but that's me. A little self-serving, but hey, get a coach. We help you do this stuff. We put these things in place. And you don't make all the mistakes that you might make without that help. And then if you're going to do traditional, be strategic about it. Make sure that you've taken your target. This is what my target is. And my target is listening to this traditional media or watching this traditional media or seeing this traditional media. So if I'm after golf courses, I want to get every billboard that I can get around those golf courses. I want to make sure I know what radio stations they listen to so I can be on that radio. I want to know what type of television they watch. I want to know how old they are and where they're going to be, what kind of organizations they're in, so I can be really strategic about that marketing. So invest in your marketing, invest in your self to learn everything you can about it. I could teach a class every day, all day for the next 10 years on that and probably still not give you everything you need. I'm going to come back and do a weekly huddle on some really like just bam, bam, bam. These 3 things, you go do these 3 things in marketing, and we guarantee you're going to have some success. We already have a lot of those on our website. So if you're a member, you can join there and go see that stuff. But we'll do these over time. All right. All right. So any questions? We got some of you here that are on the webinar. I think the broadcast on Facebook, being Facebook, is not necessarily live right now. But we'll put this out there for everybody so they can watch it. Got any questions? Anything about this that you're like, hey man, that is actually a way that I could thrive and survive throughout a storm, whenever there isn't one. And so if you got any questions, any feedback, what'd you think? Did you like it better this way? Some of you are on here that were on the old way. Was it easier for you to get in? Was it a little bit more user-friendly? Did you like the format and the way it looked and everything that goes along with it? Any feedback like that would be great. What did you think of the presentation itself? Was it good? Did you get something out of it? Was there some good golden nuggets in there for you? Any of that would be great to hear some feedback in the chat right now. If you want to contact me, you can certainly do so right here. That's me and my ugly picture. I could use a better headshot at this point. It's a while back. I got cooler hats now, and I'm a little thinner, but I'm a lot uglier. Head coach, that's my title. You can get me a head coach at contractorcoachpro.com. Make sure you follow us here at the Contractor Coach Pro group. It is actually Contractor Coach Pro Training Room. We just changed the name, so I'm going to have to edit that. Follow us at CCP Wins on Twitter. We share all kinds of cool little quick things to help you out there in the world. And then we have, obviously, our little picture archive of all the cool stuff that we do here at Contractor Coach Pro on Instagram. We run all kinds of fun little contests and Amazon gift cards and things like that. Right now, we have one with, where are those things? Oh, there's one right behind me. the sticker right there. So that sticker up there, we have whole packets of them like this. If you see us at a show or you really want them and you want us to send you some, we'll send them to you. Just shoot me an email with your address. And if you take them and put them in cool places, take creative, funny, crazy, silly, not rude pictures. Whoever posts the best one each week, we give away a $50 Amazon gift card. So let everybody know we're out there and have a little bit of fun with it at the same time. That is our weekly huddle for this week, right on 1 hour. That was a big one. I knew it was going to be. Thank you for joining us. And we'll hope to see you again next week in our weekly huddle, because we're going to bring it again. We're going to bring it hard. We're going to give you the best possible content that we can, because we are here to coach contractors to win.